Welcome back, folks. Today we're going to ask the question, how long is Rose Namajunas going to be able to hold that belt? Now, if I'm looking down, I'm not cheating. I got my notes written down. I've got the rankings pulled up. So as you all know, Rose Namajunas defeated Zhang Weili with a vicious head kick in the first round of their fight. And once again, she is the UFC straweight champion. She is the only woman to capture the UFC straweight champion twice. Joanna attempted to capture it 3 times. Or sorry, attempted to recapture it 2 times. She held it once, so she would have been the first one to hold it for 3 times had she won. But she came up short in her rematch with Rose Namajunas a couple years back, and then more recently in 2020 in Fight of the Year against Zhang Weili, she was able to do so. However, Rose was able to come back. Now, if we look at Rose Namajunas, there's one thing that we know about her for sure, and that is she is tough physically. The big question that always came up was her mental strength. Nobody questioned Rose's physical strength, and nobody questioned her physical abilities. But the mental aspect is what was always questioned. And right now, I think compared to her previous run at championship, her previous reign as champion, she had 1 title defense. And then she lost it in the fight with Jessica Andrade, who she defeated in her rematch. And she looked a whole lot better in the first fight than she did the rematch. But during that time period, we were wondering about her mental strength. When she fought Joanna, she was sharp, she was focused. And then when she fought Andrade, even before that, she was wondering, how long do I really want to hold the belt? How long do I want to be champion? All those questions, and all that plays into a fighter's psyche, and it bothers them. Right now, though, I think she's fine. She got a good coach in Trevor Whitman. She's doing well, as you all could see physically, and she appears ready. But so if we look up the rankings, we see that Weili Zhang, obviously, she's number 2, right behind her. Joanna is number 3. Carlo Esparza is number 4, and she's on a good win streak right now. And then Jan, I probably can't pronounce her name, Xiaonan, is 5-0 in the UFC actually. So she's on a very good run as well. And behind her, we've got Marina Rodriguez, Claudia Teixeira-Torres, and Michelle Waterson. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you who I don't see giving her trouble. I don't see her getting trouble from Michelle Waterson. She soundly beat her the first time, and Rose grappling is just too much for her, and her striking's gotten a whole lot better. So I don't see Michelle being trouble. Can a fighter lose? Yes, but stylistically, I just think that Rose is a problem for Michelle. So I don't think there's anything to worry about there. Mackenzie Dern, the grappling, a lot of people could say, could it be an issue? But I don't think that fight would happen too soon unless we have a whole bunch of people pull out for injuries and things like that, and they give it to her, because right now she's ranked number 11, at least according to this post. So the question is, how would a rematch with Zhang go? Because if they offer Zhang a rematch, she should be able to get it. I mean, lots of champions have gotten instant rematches. You had Joanna get an immediate rematch when she lost the belt. You had Anderson Silva get an immediate rematch after he lost his belt. It doesn't necessarily matter how they lose. When you were a champion who reigned supreme, especially for a while, they're going to give you a good shot. Even Cody Garbrandt, he hadn't even defended the belt yet, I don't believe. Yeah, he was undefeated champion when he knocked out when he decisioned Dominic Cruz. Fought TJ Dillashaw. I guess you could argue, well, he deserved that rematch more because Dillashaw was saved by the bell. And yeah, I do believe he was saved by the bell. And then he came back and beat Cody. But even after Cody got finished, he got an immediate rematch. Zhang got finished very, very quickly. Even quicker than Joanna did. But Joanna was finished in the first round by knockout, immediate rematch. Anderson Silva was knocked out, immediate rematch. So there isn't really a reason that fighters at this point don't get immediate rematches, aside from themselves being an issue, more than likely. I know Stipe did not get the immediate rematch that he wanted with DC, and DC defended it against Derek Lewis instead. That's the only one I could think of more recently where it was a problem. Aside from that, usually a lot of champions get the rematch right away. And in Zhang's case, she does have that defense on her record against the former undefeated champion. I know she was undefeated when she fought Joanna. Sorry, I know Joanna was not undefeated when she fought Zhang, but she held the belt for a very long time. 5 title defenses, if I'm correct. So the people who could potentially fight her soon would be Carla Esparza, Yan, Joanna, and Weili Zhang. Now, I have not watched any of Yan's fights yet. I have not seen the woman fight yet. So before I do a breakdown of how I think she'll do against Rose, I'm going to have to watch her fight. So I know I'm supposed to be talking about how long I think she held it, so I'll do a separate video for that one. Now, immediate rematch with Weili. The sooner a rematch happens with Weili Zhang, the better it is for Rose. Because right now, I don't think Zhang is mentally tough. The situation she's in. She came out and she was making some excuses about her losing, and her coach was making excuses for her as well. And that's always an issue to me. The coach is kind of like a parent and a child situation. You know, mother-daughter, mother-son, father-daughter, father-son type deal. You being the younger, more immature person, you're going to make excuses. You're going to seek to blame other people. The adult the parent who is wise and understanding is not going to allow you to make excuses for yourself. You know, coaches should not do that. That's the kind of coach, as a matter of fact, that's the kind of coach Rose has. She has a very good coach. And Trevor Whitman, a lot of people say even when his fighters win, he doesn't praise them when they win. He's always on them about it. Shevchenko has a very good coach as well. I watched her fight against Joanna, and she was winning every single round of that fight. I gave her all rounds. I don't know if everybody else did, but she was doing, if not winning, doing absolutely good in anybody else's eyes. But she was winning all the rounds in my mind. Her coach was talking to her in between rounds like she had lost the last round. Not in a mean way, not in a bad way, not in a belligerent way, but in a stern, this fight's not over till the fight's over way. And that's how every coach should be. So, the sooner a rematch happens with Zhang, I think the better it is for Rose. Because when you're not mentally tough, you know, you're going to crumble. That's just it. A lot of people underestimate how tough you need to be mentally in the sport. So, Joanna, could a trilogy happen with Joanna? I don't see why not. The only reason I can see is if the fans didn't want it, but I don't think that would happen because a lot of people felt that Joanna was robbed in her rematch with Rose. Now, I thought it was a very close fight. I do agree that Joanna landed more strikes, but I think even still, you can still win a fight without landing as many strikes, especially when you're landing the harder shots. And in rounds 1 and 2, the rounds that Rose won, I think she even landed fewer strikes in the first round. I think the second round was closer, but the first round, if I recall correctly, she landed fewer. But she threw some bombs where she either stunned or at least backed Joanna up. So the round was clearly hers, in my opinion. So I thought it was a close fight. Carla, I see absolutely no problem. I think Carla, the striking, Rose just far better than her in the striking in that situation. The grappling, I believe Rose has the edge there as well. And right now, Rose in a very good spot because she won her last fight by knockout. And in the first round with the head kick. Now, I even said in my breakdown leading up to this fight, Rose doesn't throw a whole lot of kicks. And when we don't showcase a skill a lot, people often forget that you had that skill. You should face every fighter like they're a well-rounded fighter, even when they're not. You should expect that from them because some fighters hide stuff and they bring it out later on. Perfect example is this right here. And with that now, whenever Rose feints on her kicks, people are going to be covering up because they're going to be really concerned about being hit with one of those. So, and she did it against a champion who was on a 21 fight undefeated streak, who had finished 17 of her opponents and was known for being extremely durable. After her fight with Joanna, you know, nobody was going to call Zhang China Chin, or say she had a weak chin. And then we have Marina Rodriguez, don't know much about her. Claudia Gadhela, I don't see much of a problem for Rose there. Tessia Torres, Zhang and Rose have already beaten her. So the rest of them out of the top 5, I believe Rose stands a very good chance. The person who I do think would stand a chance against beating her would be Joanna. And Joanna could decision her because the rematch they had, like I said, it was pretty close. Good fight. But she came close to beating her by decision. Joanna, to me, right now, is physically and mentally healthy. Zhang, I don't feel is mentally healthy, and the rest on the list, aside from Yan, like I said, I'm gonna watch her fight separately. I don't feel have the skill set capable of beating Rose soundly. Of course, they have a skill set and they could win, but I think they're more of the could win situation. You know, like they might win 3 out of 10 times as opposed to Rose just beating them mostly. And plus, like I said, how much are they gonna buy into Rose's power? Because when Rose first beat Joanna, a lot of people call that a fluke. They were saying Rose didn't have hands like that. but overlooking that she's been training with Trevor Whitman, overlooking that Trevor Whitman is a boxing coach first, overlooking that Trevor Whitman boxed himself, so his primary discipline is striking with his fist, and that's what he's been teaching Rose. You know, even Mike Tyson complimented her striking, and I know sometimes a lot of fighters might compliment somebody out of politeness or kindness, you know, maybe even slightly exaggerating what they can do, but in this case, you know, I believe it's authentic because of who she has training her, who she's got in her corner. So I feel that right now, for at least maybe the next 2 or 3 years, unless Jan can pose a bigger problem, a bigger threat, I'm not trying to sleep on her. I'm going to review her separately. But I like to watch fights before I say, yep, this person's going to win or that person's going to win. I need to know what they can do before forming that kind of opinion. So after I do my review of Jan, then I'll give a more in-depth answer. But for now, I say maybe 2 or 3 years Rose can hold that belt. The biggest person I think right now who has a chance of beating her is Joanna, because Joanna seems mentally sharp. And the same way people are concerned with how strong Rose is going to be mentally going into that fight, it's the same for anybody else she's facing. How strong are they mentally? And right now, I think Zhang is pretty broken. I think with time, she should be able to heal. She's come back strong before after her first and her only loss up to that point. She came back and look how well she did. 21 fights, undefeated. And she hasn't lost in a very, very, very long time. And she's a very busy person. She's very dedicated. She's very focused. So if she can get the excuses out the way, she would be a bigger threat. But for now, I'd say it's Joanna. I don't see Carla being a big threat to Rose. And everyone else in here, she's already beaten once or twice. People in the higher rankings, she's beaten before. And like I said, pretty soundly. She's a finisher. She's got a really good team behind her right now. She's focused. So it all depends on how long she wants to hold the belt. You know, she might do a few more defenses and retire. We may not get to see a trilogy with Joanna. I would like to see that. I enjoyed the first 2 fights very much, mostly because I was going for Rose as the underdog. And because the second fight, it really showed that she could handle the pressure of Joanna in a rematch. And rematches are very difficult, even when you win quickly, because those concerns are there was, did I beat him by chance? She had to beat her soundly. So Rose seems mentally sharp right now. I think she's mentally healthy. I think she's got a good coach. And for most people in the rankings, I don't see them giving her much of a problem.